not know death when you see it, old man. This is my power.
We come to it again. The HBO dumping on Amazon unmercifully. Let's bring in our friend, Holy Ninja. Play, darn you, play. Okay, now it's working. Oh my gosh, that's annoying. All right, and
and also you're roboting hard.
Oh, that's bad. All right, and Valerian.
Yes.
You get to be the ring right this time.
Yeah. Yep.
All right.
It's not inappropriate.
Indeed. And let's bring in K-Room.
Stay still! You wet!
Whoa!
And hello, good evening, good day, everyone. How are you all doing?
Greetings, minions.
I'm hearing. Are you like grabbing Skittles or something?
Oh, sorry. No, I'm just getting some cereal. That's too loud. It's probably too loud. I can never tell. I used to be nearly inaudible, and now my mic has got super sensitive.
So, the trailers to House of the Dragon and Rings of Power. What do we have to see? Well, other than the... Oh, and our Supreme Leader has died.
Whoops. Oh, it worked. I mean, how tragic. I'm afraid we'll have to take over as a junta.
Indeed. We are now the commanders of this broadcast.
And now we need to...
vote on a new leader.
Basically, we need to establish emergency. I need to take emergency powers until we find out who killed him.
Oh no, that great.
Oh, double great.
And our Supreme Leader has returned.
Oh, I rejoice. We certainly weren't plotting to take control.
You mean just Valerian?
Not me.
I most certainly did not decide that I will try and become the Master Archivist who will now lead us to a grand new reign of literature and I don't know what else.
Bother. You there, Blighto?
I think he's still not here.
Oh dear.
He is present, but he's not. Man, are we gonna do like Death of Stalin?
Basically, we're all plotting against each other to see which one takes control, and who's going to be Barry? Hopefully not me.
Oh. Man, it seems like the internet in Utah does not like done at the moment.
I can't say I blame it.
So then, today, dear viewers, my dear guests, we will be looking upon the trailers for House of the Dragon and Rings of Power, both getting a second season.
So,
It is
which
a-
are we doing first? I guess the Rings of Power are probably the more boring one, so we could do it first, I guess.
Yeah, we could do
That
that
would-
first.
He's here.
He
Yeah,
exists.
sorry. Yeah, sorry. I don't know why my my internet is being so asinine.
Kill it. Well,
All right. Let's
Yeah.
pull it up. All right. Rings of Power Season 2 trailer. Those are going to be a whole lot of nothing. I think the main thing I'm going to be mocking throughout this is the freaking stupid, is the freaking awful wig. That wig is freaking awful.
what wig?
Yo, Sauron's rig.
I don't see it. All I
oh,
see
just-
is
We'll see it. You'll see it.
just wait.
I mean, I watched the thing. I technically watched the thing yesterday, but it didn't really pay much attention, to be perfectly honest. I just
Well-
sort of, yeah, mainly
Well-
that. I recall the big thing being he's Sauron. I'm like, didn't we figure that? Didn't we realize that at the end? Didn't we already realize that pretty early on last season? That's hardly news to the watcher, is it? We all knew the beer commercial chap was Sauron.
I love that. That's hilarious.
I mean, I'm not usually the great theorist figuring things out, cryptogram type, but I realized it pretty early on. So I mean, it's hardly a great
Well,
streaking mystery.
No, it's
I
fairly
am kind of
obvious.
annoyed that the twist that all you guys just said like in the beginning, it's like, oh yeah, Halbrand Sauron. It's like I was like, that would be stupid, and then they did that.
Yeah.
Admittedly, I like Gary from Nerdrotic had been saying it for years, and admittedly, like he read leaks. I'm like, it kind of just ended. I think Dragon Demands is also saying he is either Sauron or it's bad writing. It ended up being both, but
Yeah.
it's so freaking hilarious. It's so freaking.
Yeah.
I still haven't finished season 1 yet. I stopped halfway through, and then I did show my brother the Croatia of Mordor scene, which was hilarious. Of how dumb it was.
Yeah, freaking the dumbass hobo turned out to be the guy.
Yeah, I mean, I know Sauron's meant to be deceptive. He's meant to be. I know he's meant to be good looking, and he's meant to lull people into a false sense of security or complacency at this point in the story. But he's also supposed to be very imposing, right? And he wasn't very imposing. Yeah, it's like
okay, so here's the funny thing about this trailer, because I did see it. I actually think if this was the first trailer we ever got on Rings of Power, I would be more excited. Because there's a lot of stuff that is like, oh yeah, this is a lot more closer to the books, and there's some interesting stuff that they're setting up. But knowing that of season 1 on that, it's like, how are they going to come back from that? They're not going to come back from it.
Yeah, it was such a travesty. Like I was impressed by. Admittedly, Wheel of Time was worse somehow, because at least Rings of Power didn't have a dude make his weapon out of a bedpost and a knife that he had tied to said bedpost with a bed sheet.
Not only that, but a cursed knife that's supposed to be ultimate evil.
Yeah, Amazon cannot write a fantasy show to save its life. They're complete crap.
They should
Yeah,
let me write a fantasy series. It will be somehow more coherent than whatever they come up with.
Yeah, it
Hey.
is. Yeah, I'd be down. I know for sure Payne and McKay are complete idiots. They're like everything that comes out of their freaking idiotic mouths just proves to me, oh, you're mentally deficient, and not just like the ordinary kind of mentally deficient. You're a special kind of mentally deficient.
So let's see what we have here. Will he be Sauron?
Probably.
Nah. So this picture does look kind of cool, I guess.
At least they got Mordor right.
Yeah.
Bare minimum.
Yeah.
Yeah, bare minimum, folks. That's what we're expecting here. All right.
The lighting is cool. Oh, right. That weird music.
Ancient and powerful.
Doesn't
Has
look it.
returned.
Whatever that
Yay,
thing is.
Forbes.
Is that a Balrog?
The Avenger shot. We need to spin around the characters with our party members.
Well, they are spinning the swords around.
The worm is his way inside your mind. The crest of him
Evil
sweaters
wood. Mirkwood is being made.
It looks bad.
I think
Oh,
he has been
some
here.
lighting.
I think he's been here among us all along.
Among us.
Yeah.
Where'd you get that idea
And
from?
this is the point where I went. There is no chance of this being good.
I mean, how did you figure that out?
Well, season 1, but like, okay, I would say other than like the quality of the wig about how it kind of fits its head, the design looks fine. Like,
Yeah, the design is fine-ish.
Yeah.
What
Um,
I am thinking here is that in the first season, the guy's hair was good enough.
normal.
All they needed to do was make it just a little longer, and not give it whatever this is. It looks like, I don't know, someone skinned a dog and put it on his head. Well, not really skinned the dog, but more like shaved it off and made a wig out of that fur.
It looks more like horsehair.
Who is this chap anyway?
That's Sauron.
Oh, he looks more evil now that he's shaved.
Ah, yes. People who save themselves are actually
Well,
pure evil.
It doesn't help that he's wearing black armor.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
even know if that's armor. That's a cloak.
He doesn't look like a beer commercial chap anymore.
Well,
give him
there's
that.
some. If you notice closely, you'll see a little bit of scaling in them.
Well,
Yeah, there's.
Well, the reason why it looks like it's cloth. I don't really know if that's armor. It'd be more interesting if it was armor, definitely. But I don't know.
It's
I
got
don't know, it's
these
weird.
little things like you expect in armor. It does look kind of scaly, like you said.
Yeah, it looks like scale armor. It may be some of the effects that people complain about with the armor in general in the show. So it could be a byproduct of that part. On that, it also
Maybe.
doesn't help. It also doesn't help that it's all dark, so
Yeah.
we can't get the clear distinction between a cloak or like actual armor.
So Sauron likes Gothic architecture, apparently.
Clearly.
Yeah,
always-
Kokuri, he invented the Gothic lifestyle.
I knew that. That proves the Middle Ages were evil.
Freaking,
So anyway,
freaking dumbass writers. August 29th. Wow, they kind of left this a little bit toward the end. I'm surprised how late in the game they're putting this trailer out, to be perfectly honest. Since
I think they wanted to have a shorter hype cycle.
Yeah, I think another element could possibly be they are scared to death of their audience at this point, because most of Rings of Power was kind of met with vitriol, loathing, and overall disdain by most of the audience.
The most positive I heard about it is it's okay.
Yeah.
But that's it. Like, it's okay. It's not even when we talk about like Last Jedi, who had like some praise behind it. This is like, we have gone to a point where most positive to controversial shows is mostly it's okay.
yeah, that's pretty much what most of the people that I'm subscribed to are saying. It's okay. Like Preston Jacobs and Carmine and people, it's okay. The Dragon Demands, it's okay.
If it were not connected to the Lord of the Rings universe, it would probably be considered average, maybe mediocre, but it being connected to Lord of the Rings, it made it pretty much an abomination.
Yeah,
but I will say though that the dwarves were probably the only good part.
I like the dwarves.
Yeah, I liked dwarves. I liked the Arondir sections, like the elf and the human parts, based on what I saw. The worst part was Gladger. I would say the Harfords was the worst because it was the most pointless, which is like one of the problems with the show currently, is that there's no real connecting thread among the storylines they were trying to explore.
Agreed.
Yeah, and it's not a coincidence, perhaps, that the trailers also. I remember the season, as I recall, the season 1 trailer also wasn't very well connected. I guess this one sort of connected. This guy is Sauron, kind of thing, but because we already knew that.
Like, essentially, they're just rehashing the same themes as season 1. It would be interesting. It's like they're given the choice whether they had, like, I know like this was in production during the release of season 1, so where they had a choice of like, oh, we need to just do a season 1 again, or just basically ignoring most of the plot threads of the original series season, or they have to like double down on it. Like, they're gonna take a narrative hit somewhere.
I would definitely say they are going to probably take a lot of hits, because they like just how this has turned out, where it's kind of an abysmal failure. Like, only a very, very small percentage of the audience actually finished the darn thing.
Yeah, and it's more embarrassing when people are more excited that Peter Jackson is coming back for a movie that takes place in the middle of Lord of the Rings, that is like a couple paragraphs in the original story.
That kind of nobody really asked for, but more people are interested in that than Rings of Power because Rings of Power was so bad.
Yeah, and plus it's like, okay, this is Peter Jackson, and like a lot of the old crew are back together, and this time they actually have a timeline. No worries about
And
that chicanery.
in all fairness, I do actually see some potential in, well, that chase for Gollum story bit, but yeah, they would need to really think of a lot how to really make something out of it. Now, if it were like maybe 40 minutes, a 40-minute special, I could maybe forgive that, but I imagine they're going to try and make it into a proper movie, which makes no sense.
I would concur. Like, you
Which
can
movie
kind
is
of
that
do some
again?
stuff.
Sorry.
The Hunt for Gollum movie
Oh,
that's
okay.
kind of coming out, which may or may not be real. Which at least that it may or may not be Gollum. The Hunt for Gollum. I don't know.
What?
Yeah,
I lean toward not, but only because the Hunt for Gollum is not that well explored and is not necessary in any way. Like, you could easily do that in, I don't know, like Karam said, like it has been done in like 40-minute special, like 40-minute like fan film.
yeah. I wonder if they're also gonna incorporate some other parts of the appendices, like I heard talks about incorporating some stuff for like a Aragorn center, make it more like an Aragorn center. And Hunt for Gollum is also like a working title.
The Hunt for Golem was like a section of Unfinished Tales, and it was a pretty short one. It was probably one of the less interesting bits in Unfinished Tales.
It was also in the Council of Elrond.
Yeah, that's right. It was mentioned in the Council of Elrond too. I think very briefly and cursorily, if I recall.
It was essentially part of a larger narrative about how this council came to be and how Legolas got it. The reason Legolas is in Rivendell because he was there to report that Gollum escaped.
Okay,
Somehow
yeah.
Gollum escaped.
He is he is basically Houdini, only a gremlin.
Yeah, there was an orc attack. He used it to get out, and he managed. It doesn't matter if he somehow overtook two elven guards.
Yeah, it doesn't sound very exciting, but I mean, of all the things to choose for some I wouldn't think that was at the top of the list of things to adapt. I mean, if I were going to adapt something, it might be Eldarion and Arendis or something, which is actually a compelling story.
Well, they don't have the movie rights to Silmarillion stuff.
Okay, so this is just okay. So this right? Are we talking about McKay and Hoo-Ha still?
No, we're talking about the Peter Jackson, but it still applies to McKay and Hoo-Ha. And it's like, at best, they can do is just request references from the Tolkien estate.
Yeah, that limits what you can do. You can't do all that much that's very interesting. Maybe you can do something from the tale of Arwen and Aragorn or something like that. But yeah. With the unfinished tales, there's some decently interesting things you can adapt. But apart from that,
yeah. But essentially, as soon as the Tolkien estate gives out the Silmarillion, I think we're gonna have another big explosion of Lord of the Rings content that's even bigger because people would want to adapt that Silmarillion stuff, whether in video game form or movies and TV.
We definitely need more video games. I still want that Star Wars Battlefront clone of the Lord of the Rings, and I also wanted the RTS games to return. Those were amazing.
Yeah, I would want a RTS Battle for Middle Earth game to be about the first stage. I think that's like the best place to expand the RTS side of Lord of the Rings.
Oh, not only that, but War in the North. I want that to be a thing that you can buy again.
Oh yeah, yeah, that game was such underrated.
I never had a chance
I
to
tried
properly
purchasing.
appreciate it.
Yeah, I tried purchasing it, but like, there's just no way to purchase it. It's really frustrating.
Yeah, I got it before it got taken out, and you can still buy physical, but yeah.
I think you can buy it still from GameStop, but that's about it.
Yeah, you'll find it on like.
Not even that works. Not even that works, which is annoying. Like, I tried GameStop, but it didn't work. I was super annoyed.
Do you have? You could probably get it at a retro gaming store.
Yeah, I'd have to get my hands on it though. Search for E and it, well, it's just the hunt for Gollum. It takes about a year. It would be very difficult since I know one of the things that Peter Jackson kind of does is he likes to do battles. And I don't think that it would work. Honestly.
At least, well, the positive is that he's not. Peter's just producing it. The director is Andy Serkis. Andy Serkis is directing it. So.
And Andy Serkis is good at character stuff, and he could do a good job.
Yeah, so
up there.
Well, his film output, some people question it, question his film directing output, but I'm pretty sure with
Jungle Book, like a Jungle Book, you mean?
He didn't do Jungle Book. He did Mowgli.
Same difference. I just think of it. Yeah, I just think of it as basically the same.
The film.
One's Jungle Book.
The film. Okay, the film I was thinking of was Venom 2.
Oh, he did it. Oh.
Yeah, he did Venom 2.
Oh, come on. That sucks.
Yeah, but based on what I heard is that it's just more in line with the original Venom, which is, if you want to be honest, like that's kind of the fun of the Venom comics is that it's not meant to be. They're not art; they're more fun.
Yeah, I'll try being positive. Well, the problem is we don't have evidence of us being able to be positive. Is the problem?
Shall we carry on with the video?
Yeah, we should.
Hey, I'm always positive. I just am cautious.
Yeah. I'm a bit more. I'm probably the most optimistic of this season than the rest of us, but I'm still like, you got to make up for season 1,
which I don't think they can do. I don't think that's possible.
We don't have much evidence of it being one way or the other, except for last season being meh. Carry on.
Yeah.
Carry on. What's the shark thing? Carry on.
Every soul in Middle Earth is in peril.
Well, I guess that we're gonna get the Balrog a few millennia too early.
Yeah.
Numenor Riot.
He's referring to the film.
Moria, the collapse on Moria could also be like them visualizing Moria being assaulted by Sauron's forces. So
yeah.
It's like,
Trip says she's a.
Sorry, go for it.
Sorry, Trip is referring to not referring to Rings of Power, but to the film. She says.
Well, I just I just need evidence of it being good before I'm willing to say that it will be good.
I'm cautiously optimistic on that. I'm still feeling the pain of the Hobbit films. That's my problem.
Yeah, those were not very good. They're fun, but they're not very good.
Yeah,
you can get a much better. You can get a better film by
the animated Hobbit film.
Either
that or the various fan edits. Like that, unlike the Star Wars prequels, which have no merit at all, you can at least make a good fan edit of The Hobbit that's relatively good.
Really, it could have been just one film and it would have been fine.
I would have liked a mini series with The Hobbit, but it would be very different from like the films in some ways. So.
Yeah, the pacing would be extremely different.
Well, also I would put more of the music in there, like make it more like a very young fantasy story.
Yeah,
as opposed to trying to chase Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, they tried to turn it into an epic, and it really isn't. The Hobbit really isn't. The book really isn't an epic.
Yeah, it's very much a kid adventure.
Yeah, I did hear that the producer, the higher up that caused all those changes to make it more like the worst changes in The Hobbit, like the love triangle, is not in charge. In fact, the guy who's like the head honcho that's like helping with the new film is actually the guy who proposed that Warner Brothers New Line to take this offer to make the Lord of the Rings in the first place. So that's positive.
Yeah, that is very positive. Hopefully it works.
I thought elves were known for making things of beauty. The rings seem to be okay, but not what I would hope for. What, those things?
Yeah.
I think I saw them at Walmart.
They certainly don't look very majestic or magical.
I think I bought one at Walmart once.
I would not doubt that, actually.
I used to have two.
I would.
I used to have two of the One Rings, but I don't know what happened to them.
Yeah, I would honestly expect all of these to be something I would pick up at a Walmart.
Yeah.
That was fine.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. Fair enough. Not really giving much story.
Look, we're aping to a cavalry charge again.
He is Sauron.
Rings of frozen in flame.
Now what?
They could even approach. Yeah. What? How did he jump? At least Legolas needed to build momentum. Yes, they're just flying past so many things. Yeah, they're doing some. Yeah, like even just little things. Where was that?
They're really stretching the elf OP. They're doing the elf OP thing, and it's like, hey, Legolas is of lesser elves, so he has to build momentum. These are true older elves. Old is always better, Lord Tolkien. So
we was elves in Seas.
Yeah, they're not giving you much in terms of what's actually happening. They're not. Whereas you can get an idea of a story from the hot dragon trailer. You don't really get much of an idea of the story from this one.
Yeah, it's very much what? What
only
is the
thing you
point of
can
everything?
The only thing you could probably get is that Sauron is around, and presumably the conflict is going to be trying to, I don't know, fight him or something. But
Well, the conflict is the story of the second season is going to be the sack of Aragian.
The war between the Sauron and the elves, because the Celebrimbor perceived Sauron, knew who he was, and then the war began as soon as he forged the One Ring, and then the war of the elves and Sauron began, and Aragion was laid waste. So I guess something like that will happen.
But
Maybe, I don't know.
That would probably require some deduction from book knowledge, but reading it off of the trailer, you probably don't get that kind of impression.
Yeah. I mean, from the trailer, it's hard to get any kind of impression other than
stuff happening.
The beer commercial. Yeah, stuff happening, and the beer commercial chap is Sauron, but it doesn't look like a beer commercial chap anymore.
Well, yeah. The trailer gives the impression that the story is about they're trying to find this guy, and then, oh, this guy was with us this all along, and stuff is happening.
Action scenes.
Yeah,
very bad action scenes at that. Sorry, go for it.
Oh, sorry. That's just what I'm just agreeing that basically a series of action scenes without much connective tissue narratively.
It's just such a freaking waste. Don Lemonless.
Don Lemonless was also boring as heck.
Yeah, that's the colloquial nickname for discount Puerto Rican Legolas, as a lot of people call him.
I was just calling him the Black Elf Gentleman.
I liked him. He was probably the best. Not the best.
The least bad.
The least bad. I did like the dwarf segments. That was actually a lot more charming.
Yeah, then they ruined Deeza's character by making her a sociopath. Ethic.
Good thing I stopped before seeing that.
As a man who is biased for dwarves, I would say that the dwarf guy was the best.
Yeah. That's pretty representative of the series itself. Disconnected scenes, says Trippish lady thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know what it's supposed to be. I would agree.
The trees are nice.
Yeah, the trees are very, very nice. They're very, very pretty. I just don't see the point of this. It's just nobody liked the first season. It was an abject failure by most objective standards, just by virtue of the fact that 37% of the audience finished the show. That's pretty bad.
Yeah.
That's a bad metric.
So, but aren't they required by the contract to have 4 seasons or something, or is it 5? 4 or 5 seasons?
I think they bought the rights to have up to 5 seasons, but I think that they might just say, like, it might be better for them to just cut their losses, to be perfectly honest, because I don't think that they made enough money to justify a second season.
Well, yeah, what I heard is that they pre-ordered 5 seasons, essentially, which is, I think, the main reason why they're doing this is that they're stuck on they put too much money in at the beginning.
Whole lot of sunk cost fallacy.
Yeah.
Lots of sunk cost fallacy.
Let's see. Is it?
And yeah, I just don't really see yeah, I just don't see the point in any of this. It's ridiculous. It's just, why would you do this? Just nobody likes this show. Even like the Access Media is saying, nope, we don't like this. This was a this was a massive disappointment at best and a horrible travesty. Yes, the Sauron wig was bad. Yeah. Yeah,
It's not like the budget is not the problem. Like companies think that's the problem with the people think it's like money situation, or that if you just pour money into it, is that like you're given this amount of money, this output. It's more of like who hired, what was the hiring process. Like clearly it looks like Amazon is just going for cheaper, less experienced people into the business of making
there's also the element of J.J. Abrams, because he's the main reason why they got hired. I don't believe that there's any other reason why these two chuckleheads got hired. I don't accept that they got this on merit. Yeah. But yeah, I don't really have much to comment. It's like, I guess he creates Karn Doom or something. Since that's what this kind of looks a lot like kind of how Karn Doom is described in nearly every what is it? Like even just video game or whatever, but I guess maybe like Angband.
Yeah,
But
I was thinking Angband, like one of the northern fortresses. It would be cool if we visit Angband, but based on this production, they're not going to have like that impressive of sets when we get to the ground level. Like, I would say the show does well when they do shots like this, where it's like you see the landscape from a wide angle. That is where like the most creativity is in. But as soon as you get to the actual sets, it's like not as interesting.
Agreed. It's just kind of like, it's a whole lot of why. Why? What is the point of all this? Why are we here? Yeah, agreed. Yeah, it's just so weird. That, yeah, it would be, yeah, that kind of bugs me a lot. It's just Ryan Condal why are they just so like seemingly afraid of writing certain types of characters just because of like whatever their ideology seems to be. Like that kind of seems like the only reason why is just, oh, you just decided to scrap this project for ideological reasons, not for actual like merit reasons. Because House of the Dragon was pretty good.
A Conan series would be pretty good. We need some masculine energy in our media.
I'm not
No,
sure.
we just need good media. We just need good media,
I
period.
just want good story. Like the interesting thing about Conan is that he has masculine stuff, but him as a character, like he's masculine not because of his beefy arms and him sleeping with women and stuff. It's him acting heroic. Like it's supposed to be a critique of society. Of how civilization corrupts people while living out in the woods makes us stronger. Then ironically the author proved himself to be weak at the end of the day, unfortunately.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I hadn't. What do you mean by that exactly? Proved himself weak. I'm not sure I understand.
He committed suicide.
Oh,
That's
He committed suicide when his mother died.
That's
Poor
not
chap.
good.
Yeah, that's
That
why I
is-
say that he's weak. He was weak at the end because for a guy who was good at making masculine characters like Solomon Kane and Conan the Barbarian and Called the Conqueror, he wasn't able to live up to his standard.
I don't think any of us are.
Right.
We can always create a character that's much worse than us, and there's often no way to really create anything that's like that much better than us.
Well, you know what they say. Sometimes life throws a massive curveball at you, and it can shift things quite dramatically.
Indeed. Indeed. Well, I don't really have anything to say about this. It's kind of a series of images. House of the Dragon has a lot more material in it to kind of go to sink your teeth into. Honestly, like the most entertaining thing from the Rings of Power is actually all of the comments are all of the freaking YouTube comments.
1 week to rule them all. 1 week to hide him. 1 week to fool them all. And now they cannot find him.
And it's just like, oh my gosh, this is hilarious. Like this is astonishingly funny.
so
Sorry, go for it.
sorry to interrupt. The lesson we can learn from this is, guys, get a haircut or else you're evil.
Evidently, yes. Yes, let's go with that. Let's go with that. Yeah, or just watching. Yeah, it's just a lot of people are just. This looks like nobody like the overall reaction to this is not positive. This is the only. Well, this is neutral. Oh no, this is not positive. Can't wait to not watch it.
Can't wait to not watch. Is that what you just said?
Yes, like take a look. Wow, can't wait to not watch it. like nobody wants this to watch this show. Nobody's
Wait.
interested.
Yeah, like the only people who would be interested in watching it are people who like the first season and people who decides that that's part of their job is to review it. So
Yeah. A lot of them are probably just like, this is going to be bad. And
this
it's
is like
not-
a waste of time.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people that I can see are just like, this is just going to be trash. A lot of people just don't like this show from what I can see. And like, I think the most traction they're going to get like it's kind of just debate. Like a lot of people were saying, best to not watch it. Like don't give them any kind of views. I don't ascribe to that because I don't like the idea of shills dominating the discussion. I think that that is way, way more harmful than giving them positive, than giving them no attention. Just because it just makes it so that they can lie to themselves and say, "Oh, it was somewhat successful. It's okay. It's not awful. It's just somewhat bad. It's okay. It's still fine." But yeah, it's just one rake to rule. 30,000 dislikes and 400,000. Yeah. Nobody likes this. These are the highest rated comments. It's kind of hilarious. But yeah, let's watch House of the Dragon. That's actually going to be good. It's kind of the final trailer before we watch.
A Targaryen who sits the Iron Throne.
Here we go.
A king or a queen. They are a protector of the realm.
You mean that's just going to right?
Now I find myself in an impossible position.
All hail, King Aegon!
The enemy usurped my throne.
We're going to King's Landing. Well, what are we going to do about it? We must play the board before us.
Proceed cautiously.
Fuck dignity. I want revenge.
News spreads through the realm. The great houses will come to our side.
I did not think they would be so eager to die. My ships sail at your command. The realm's only hope is in a leader strong enough to unite it.
Do you accept me as your queen and ruler?
This senseless war and send.
Shall now us prevail.
Not like this.
Alicent's love for our enemy. That makes her a fool.
The enemy without may be fought with swords. The enemy within is more insidious.
There is more than one way to fight a war.
War is coming, and neither of us may win.
I actually get the conflict at hand here, much more so
Yeah,
than the
this
other
is-
one.
It was a very compelling trailer.
One difference that you notice right away, immediately, without knowing anything about the stories, is a lot more dialogue.
Yes, there is significantly higher amounts of dialogue in the House of the Dragon trailer. Like, I actually feel like I have a better grasp on the characters. With Rings of Power, I'm just like, I don't know any of these characters. I don't like any of these characters. Why should I care?
Yeah.
So, the conflict of the story. There is two rivaling kingdoms, or heirs to the kingdom, and
Yeah.
battle lines are drawn. alliances are made, and you get the idea of who is against who and all that.
Mhm.
One thing I'd like to draw attention to is at the beginning, the bit about the Targaryen who sits the Iron Throne is not just the king or queen of the Seven Kingdoms. He is, or she is, the protector of the realm, and I think this is referring to the prophecy. So we're dealing with. So she, I think that's why she's mentioning that. And that's what the conflict is. She has to fight this war in order to unite the realm. She has to further divide the realm in order to unite it, in a way.
Mhm. Which is
And
a good conflict.
Yeah, and she's the one who knows this. Aegon II doesn't know about the prophecy, and Alicent, none of the Greens knows anything of the prophecy, probably.
Mm-hmm.
So it pretty much has to be Rhaenyra because she's the one who's got that knowledge.
Yeah, there's also the fact that the Greens are secular religionists, are very anti-magic people that don't believe in magic. Since like their fundamental principle is faith of the Seven, and the faith of the Seven just rejects magic outright and don't think that it exists. Since it's fundamentally Maester based.
Yeah, I have not much comment about the lore stuff. I just think, in terms of a trailer, it actually gave me. It was very focused. It gave me what I needed to know if I was interested in the show. What to get hyped for it, like the conflict. You get to see dragons flying around and like people in armor, so you get like cool visuals as well. So.
Mm-hmm. And just the nice thing is it's just nice and straightforward. I have a very clear idea of the characters, even if most of them are pretty bad people. Like Rhaenyra is not a good person. Neither is Daemon, nor is Alicent. Most of these characters are pretty horrible people. And even though like a lot of them are like fan favorites, like a lot of people really love these characters, they're still bad people for the most part.
That is
There's
indeed
no
true.
good faction. There's no good person in this show.
Another thing I would like to mention is that they don't jump scene to scene in a rapid process like they did in Rings of Power. They do let a scene linger for a little bit to at least let you sink into what's going on.
Yeah, because they're doing it. There's actually kind of a narrative to the trailer. Who'd have thought?
This is a lost art in trailers to create a narrative to get you hooked into the story.
I mean, it's not enough just to show a bunch of cool-looking images, because anyone can do that.
Agreed. I would definitely concur with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything else to like comment on necessarily.
Should we go? Should we go over it again to look at the and see if comment on individual scenes that they show? Should we do that?
We could. So in terms of this, we have Daemon in the Iron Throne in the throne room. This is Cregan Stark with Jace with ice on his back, which is kind of neat because I like ice. It's one of my favorite swords in the Song of Ice and Fire, especially the show, because it's a giant monstrous sword.
Yeah, this was leaked. This was a picture that was leaked earlier. Would you say King Viserys was a good person? He's okay. I mean, I don't know. He made his wife go through hell, but
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna head off.
Right.
You guys can enjoy talking more about Game of Thrones.
All right.
okay.
I think my opinion is known that the Game of Thrones, the House of the Dragon trailer is 10 times better, more focused, more worthy of hype. But I
It's,
still have
not-
that little hope. I have that tiny hope that Rings of Power could improve. It's minuscule. But
We'll see. Maybe.
all right, have a good day.
Maybe.
Have a riot.
Right. Con Dios, my man. Alrighty, so let's kind of see. Is there what other things?
Oh.
Could
So she's saying that line about the protector of the realm at the same time as these people are on the wall. So, do you think that's a coincidence, or do you think that's to drive into our minds that this has to do with the prophecy?
Possibly. I actually would not be surprised if they did that, actually, because in a lot of ways they are trying to make it so that the really hone in on the idea that, oh, okay, Aegon the Conqueror wasn't necessarily a colonizer. Well, he wasn't a colonizer to begin with, but there's some kind of modus operandi behind his invasion of Westeros beyond just, I see a completely lawless and idiotic state run by morons like Argilac the Arrogant, or psychopaths like Harren Hoare.
Yeah, so it wasn't necessarily just that he was power hungry and wanted to conquer a lot of people. It wasn't necessarily just lust for power and ambition and the rest of it.
And the weirdest part about Aegon the First is that he's kind of a mystery in a lot of ways. Nobody really understands, like, has a firm grasp on who he is as a person. So it's hard to get any kind of info from the source material, because even within the source material, he's kind of a mystery.
Yeah, bit of a cipher.
Yeah. So we got the wall. We got 3 dragon eggs. We just kind of have Rhaenyra. We have King's Landing. A riot. Dragon flying. Rhaenyra. What looks like Dragonstone. We got Aegon's coronation, or like holding court, I guess.
Yeah, this is where he's meeting with the small council to decide what to do. I guess are they getting the information about Luke here, or are they finding out about Blood and Cheese here? Whoops, we should probably warn people that are massive shrieking spoilers. Sorry.
For me, I would definitely say that based on the tone, I would definitely say Blood and Cheese is not going to be this scene. The reason for that is because if Blood and Cheese had happened, then he would be in a much different mood. So that's my personal read of the situation. I could be wrong though.
Okay.
This could be like a pride before the fall deal. In terms of that, then we have her picking up what looks to be a Valyrian steel sword, or at least just a sword. It doesn't necessarily have to be Valyrian steel. We've got Rhaenys and Daemon both in armor, talking about going to King's Landing. This part, I believe, is after. This would be after Blood and Cheese.
Okay, this bit, yeah. The other bit, no, but this bit, yeah. Okay.
Since, like, I just by virtue of the fact that he is very much in a very bad mood, and you don't just have go from one thing to the other. You got to have some measure of carryover, I suppose. So that's just me, though.
And I imagine Rhaenys and Daemon would have different takes on how to handle the war too. That's just my guess. So that would be an interesting conflict, but I don't know that they get into that in the trailer.
I would agree with that. One thing about it that is interesting is that they've characterized Rhaenys very differently than she is in Fire and Blood. Fire and Blood Rhaenys is a lot more warlike than her. Is a lot more of a warhawk than her show counterpart. Book Rhaenys is very down to fight. She doesn't care. I don't think that she cares about the collateral damage at all. I don't think anybody really does, admittedly.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. The Raptor says, Blood and Cheese require a vital ingredient to commence, and since we haven't seen anybody drinking blue milk yet, well, I should hope not. One is right in saying the scene isn't Blood and Cheese. Well, I should hope, jolly well hope not.
Well, this seems like something outside of my level of expertise, so I think I'm going to have to dip out.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Hey, no worries.
Don't worry.
No worries, buddy.
It is actually pretty late on my end, so I wish you both a pleasant evening and see you around.
Okay, have a riot.
See you around, my dude.
Take care.
All right. Let's see, what other things? So, a little scene of them overlooking King's Land. Aemond and Alicent looking over King's Landing.
Okay, there's Aemond being Aemond.
Mm-hmm.
It's Aemond looking very cool in an eye patch.
Indeed.
Aemond looks more like Sauron than Sauron does.
He kind of does, actually. Yeah, that's pretty accurate, actually, which is kind of sad. This whole thing is a nightmare. This whole thing is a horrifying, disgusting nightmare. Please, why do you keep making these stupid ass shows?
Yeah. So he also has better lighting than Sauron did. So I don't know what is this bit where he's telling them that he killed Luke, or do they know that already?
This is probably the point where he's telling them that he killed Luke, I imagine.
Yeah.
It's my assumption, anyway.
Yeah, they're not necessarily in chronological order, are they? The scenes.
No, I would definitely say they are not, and that's probably a good thing, because if they were, that would lead to certain problems. It would be way too easy to predict where things are going.
Yes, and he does have a better wig than Sauron. Agreed.
Yeah, he looks like he doesn't. Yeah, the funny thing about Sauron is just that the hairline on the wig is pretty awful. Just the hairline alone is freaking awful.
Yeah.
This is kind of one of those, dude. Why? Just why did you think that this was a good idea? Are you idiots? Oh no, we know you're idiots. But did you have to be that much of an idiot?
Oh, and these people have Gothic too, unless that's Romanesque.
I'm not sure.
Might be Romanesque, I'm not sure.
For this, we see a bunch of, I think it's probably Lannisters, marching up to Rook's Rest. At least that's my assumption of where this is.
Yeah, where is Rook's Rest actually? It's in the Crown.
Map. Yeah, Rook's Rest, Westeros. Let's pull that up, because that's worth finding out. Let's see map. Let's see maps. So it's okay. Let's see. So Rook's Rest is a little bit north of Duskendale. It's actually very close to Dragonstone. I did not realize how close it was to Dragonstone, actually.
Okay. Yeah, because I forget. Because I forgot like a lot of these battles' names even until I started watching Dragon Demand's videos about the show. And of course he's got them all memorized.
Yeah, I don't remember all of the battles. He studied things a lot more assiduously than I have. I've read through Fire and Blood a few times. I know Preston Jacobs thinks that the actual logistics of the damn dragons are crap. Like he thinks, which, and he could be right. Since Preston Jacobs is pretty good at logistics stuff, so I'm inclined to believe to trust him somewhat, since he's proven himself that he's fairly well able to analyze stuff.
Yeah, I mean, if you get he'll get the details. He'll get the details. Sometimes he overthinks things, but he'll get the details. And his general opinion of Fire and Blood is that it's not very good anyway. So, which is probably fairly sound judgment.
Yeah, since since if we look at Fire and Blood is very much this is a contractual obligation book. I don't think he actually put this up because he was passionate about it. I don't necessarily believe that, since large sections of it are just cut and pasted from the World of Ice and Fire.
Yeah, or from other books like the Princess and the Queen and the Rogue Prince. Well, not books, stories.
Yeah, that's accurate. And part of the appeal of Fire and Blood is that it's a history book that is kind of just interesting to read. It's way more somewhat more interesting than regular in some cases. Admittedly, there's some hilarious stuff like the Great Schism. The Great Schism is freaking hilarious.
What, the Great Western Schism? The Great Western Schism?
Yeah, the Great Western Schism, like where you have two popes excommunicating each other.
Yeah, where the cardinals elected the one pope, and then they found that they couldn't handle him, and so they were like, you know what? We didn't really mean it.
Oh, I thought it was kind of this is how I learned it in high school / the Lemon Thompson history lectures, was that the cardinals were in Rome found out first that the Pope is dead. Let's elect another Pope. And then the Roman mobs were outside screaming, "A Roman Pope, a Roman Pope." And so the cardinals, scared that they were going to storm the doors, said, "Okay, let's elect a Roman Pope. Let's elect a Roman Pope now. Let's elect a Roman Pope now."
Well, if I remember correctly, the Pope wasn't actually Roman. It was Italian, but not Roman. But would need to check that out. However, it's also true that they worked with the Pope for several months before they suddenly decided, hey, he wasn't really the Pope after all. So, I mean, they were kind of late in the day in deciding that they'd been forced to do it. So, yeah,
and all because of a particular king was like, I want to get some extra taxes.
I want my own Pope.
That too. Yeah. So just all of that stuff is just so funny to me. Yeah, I just find that kind of thing hilarious.
It did follow the Avignon papacy. That's correct.
Yeah, a lot of people were really, really angry about the Avignon papacy, especially in Italy and Rome.
Yeah, basically it caused a lot of trouble because the French king was so keen on having the Pope in Avignon, even though technically Avignon wasn't ruled by France. But he was so keen on having the papacy in Avignon. So he kind of dropped the ball there in terms of statesmanship.
Yeah, kind of. I would agree with that. It's very much a thing of, just the weirdness of human nature will never end.
No, sadly not.
But sadly, it's hilarious. This is one of the greatest things that has ever happened.
Yeah. Have a second.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. In terms of other things that are happening, we see Lannisters or troops riding out into the into battle against some kind of enemy, probably just into the war. Where that is, we're not sure quite yet.
Would this be the Riverlands?
I wouldn't be too surprised if this is them riding into the Riverlands. That does sound fairly reasonable.
Yeah, the Riverlands. That's the thing. The Riverlands. It gets a little monotonous after a while. Riverlands, lots of devastation, people dying, horrible things happening to people. It keeps repeating over and over again.
Yeah. The overall structure of the battle is slightly monotonous in a lot of ways, where it's most of the fighting is in the Riverlands.
Well,
they don't really. Sorry, go for it.
Sorry, it's like in Game of Thrones, not Game of Thrones. Song of Ice and Fire. Wandering Riverlands, Death and Destruction. Wandering Riverlands, Death and Destruction. I think Dunk and Egg also wander through the Riverlands at some point, and there's Death and Destruction.
I think there's an aftermath of Death and Destruction in the Riverlands from the Blackfire Rebellions, but I'm not sure how much of it there is.
Yeah. There'll always be demand for blue milk. Will you stop saying that? It's like grossing me out.
Well, kind of it's a reference to a script reading we did where blue milk is a stand-in for porn.
I know.
Yeah, you watched
the video.
Yeah, it was hilarious, wasn't it?
It was certainly interesting.
It was interesting.
Although I think J.J. Abrams looks too good in it.
I do look way too good in everything I do. That is true. That is very fair.
Speaking of kill him, here are some people who I don't like.
Yeah, Aegon II and Kristen Cole. Then we have probably the Battle of Rook's Rest. I can't identify all of these houses right off the bat. I would definitely say that they are probably the Greens based on prior experience. I could be wrong, but that's my assumption.
Dragon Demands would know what that shield was.
Yeah, since he's got an impressively obsessive memory for this sort of thing.
Okay, so Scorpio says it's Darkland, Duskendale.
Ah, thank you. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I'm not familiar. Yeah, it's interesting. I don't really. The main thing I know House Arkland from is the whole thing with Mad King Ares. That's the main thing I know.
Yeah.
Them from. You remember that bit where?
Yeah.
Where Ares is held against his will, possibly even raped. Nobody really knows, but we do know that the Lady House Darkland's wife had an unusually graphic fate, whereas the rest of them didn't necessarily have that level of like bad things put on her.
Yeah. Featuring the Lombards. The Visigoths and the Berbers. Okay, we must be in North Africa or something. No, this must be in when they invaded Spain. 711. Okay, that must be what that is. So anyway,
Indeed. Other things. You wouldn't be familiar with their shield because they're all dead. That's true. See a council meeting marking they're really eager to die. Seems as though a lot of this is very much the setting the table for what's to come.
so who's eager to die?
I would say the Greens in all likelihood.
Oh, okay. This is where. Okay. Okay.
This is Seahorses. So that's House Velaryon.
They messed up. They changed the sigil.
Yeah. And then I'm like, I don't really mind that much personally.
I'm outraged.
Clearly.
So nice lighting.
Indeed. Very, very nice lighting.
So let's see what else we got here.
We have a chat with Corlys, between Corlys and Rhaenyra.
Her hair is kind of weird.
Yeah, there's some odd curves on it for some reason that I can't quite place. It doesn't look bad though. Probably because, well, for sure we know that Emma Darcy, like she has wigs, but she prefers going very, very short hair. That's her kind of usual mode, I guess you could say.
Yeah, like in real life, very, very short hair.
Yeah, we have Daemon coming out with Caraxes. That's probably just him writing to Harrenhal. That's what I imagine, at least.
A leader strong enough to unite it. So I guess he's trying to push Rhaenyra to be more bellicose, but maybe there's a subtext that he wants to be the leader himself.
Bellicose, that's a good one. I've never actually heard that word before. What does it mean? Just warlike, or what's
Warlike,
that?
yes. Warlike.
Huh? Okay. I have actually never heard that word before.
Oh, wow,
What's the origin?
It's from bellum, war, in Latin, like belligerent is.
Ah.
Belligerent is waging war is belligerent.
I did not know that. I will have to keep that in mind because that's actually really interesting.
It's a word you'd like too, bellicose.
Bellicose, yes, indeed. I will definitely have to use that in the future because that is very, very interesting. That's a good word.
Like antebellum, yeah.
Antebellum period. Nice. I like that. That's cool.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Let me see a discussion between Rhaenyra and Daemon, where she's asking him about whether he will accept her as his queen and ruler. And he waits for a surprisingly long period of time, all things considered.
So basically, they have a conflict. He wants to do one thing. She doesn't want to do it, and she's trying to get him to agree to do it the way she wants to do it. I'm guessing that he's trying to push for, like what I said, the more bellicose policy, and she's trying to rein him in. Also, I do wonder also how they're going to handle it in terms of her knowledge or lack thereof of blood and cheese, and if that's something he did on his own. Was she aware of it? Did she find out about it afterwards? Because the way they presented her, it wouldn't necessarily be the kind of thing she would want to do herself.
I would concur with that. She's very much she does do the whole thing with what's their bucket, Lenore, but
God help us.
Yeah. Which that whole thing is a whole kettle of worms.
Yeah, like a streak. Yeah, it was kind of a mess. I mean, I guess you could just say, okay, they did something really evil. But I mean, I don't know if we're meant to think it's evil or not.
I would probably say that we are not meant to think that hard about it, to be perfectly honest. I think that we're just kind of thinking, oh, it's kind of sweet that he's going off with his boyfriend away from all of the whole stuff with King's Landing and stuff like that.
I'm touched. Crimson Scorpio says, this almost doubles as a meta discussion about who the main character is.
Yeah. Yeah, since you do have the whole you could, yeah, since you can have the discussion of who, like between Damon and Rhaenyra, who's the main character, because Rhaenyra is the person that is doing a lot of the at least some of the planning, say, but she's not very proactive, I would say. She falls under the principle of she is the person that is the point, I suppose. Like, I guess the closest comparison I could come up with would be Princess Leia in Star Wars, where Princess Leia is very pivotal to the plot and is kind of one of the central pieces, but she is not necessarily a mover and shaker within the plot, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it seems that in the books especially, Rhaenyra doesn't actually do very much. I think she does a bit more on the show.
Yeah, she does barely anything. That is actually a very, very good point.
Yeah, in the books.
Yeah, she does both. Yeah, it's it's just interesting to think about. Yeah, if the show deviated from that actually would not be a bad change. I actually wouldn't think that would be a terribly bad decision.
Yeah, I mean, they've already fleshed out the characters a bit more, and the characters, to be perfectly frank, the characters needed fleshing out.
Yeah. Damon is the most fleshed out character in the bunch, but even then, like, you have to really sift through data and fire to him, because he's a little bit contradictory at points because of the various things, as well as some possible chicanery, deliberate chicanery, and on George R. R. Martin's part with deliberately changing sequences of events, like when he hears about his child's miscarriage, he doesn't react. But when he hears that his brother's getting married, he doesn't react. He whips the messenger within an inch of his life.
Oh yeah, there was that. Oh yeah, I now remember. Preston Jacobs thought that. Oh, maybe he got confused. He's reacting. He was reacting to the wrong thing.
Mm-hmm. And after that, we see Sunfire for the first time. And Sunfire actually looks pretty cool. I like the look of Sunfire. And Aegon looks pretty decent, has some decently cool armor on.
Yeah.
Alicent is very much against the war. That's with her character. Then we have Daemon on Caraxes and Harrenhal in the middle of a storm. See Aemon talking with his buddy Kristen Cole. We see Night's Watch. See a little bit with Bela and her dragon. That's not terribly big yet. We see Kingsguard riding into the forest, probably to try and find Aegon after after what happens at Rook's Rest.
Yeah, they're not giving a lot of detail about what happens at the wall.
Yeah, they're probably keeping that very close to the chest.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is interesting. This is a neat little. This is an additional scene. I don't know what it is. My assumption is that it's Aemon at a brothel. That's my assumption because he doesn't have a shirt on.
Oh, okay. So it's just a sex scene, possibly gratuitous, although it might involve Mysaria doing something or other.
I would definitely not say that it would be with Mysaria. The reason being they tried. Sorry, what?
No, I don't think she'd have sex with him, but.
Well, I just mean that given the fact that Otto tried to burn her establishment down in the last season, I would think that she would be persona non grata for the Greens.
Oh, definitely.
They wouldn't have interaction.
Unless
that's my assumption, at least.
Oh yeah, definitely. But I mean, I'm wondering if
I am not crazy.
If she had someone seduce him for some reason, what's he saying? Don, I'm not crazy. I know. If I could haircut, yeah, he kind of did.
George switched out. It could be. Well, I'm saying like there's a. Well, admittedly, George does make mistakes throughout Fire and Blood. Whether those are deliberate or not deliberate, I'm not sure. I don't know, but it just seems weird that Daemon would react to an innocuous thing with a fairly bad temper when and reacts to the more devastating news much more violently.
Much more calmly, I mean.
Yeah. Let's see.
Might just be
possibly, yeah. See, Reyna going around, Dragonstone probably trying to pick up a dragon. There was an interesting theory that she might be replacing Nettles, which that's a really bad idea. I hope that they do not do that.
Yeah.
Because
I mean,
they serve fundamentally different roles.
The whole point of Nettles is that she's not in the nobility; she's a commoner.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, I mean, she might have Targaryen blood, but she's been raised as a commoner. She's not part of the nobility or high aristocracy or royalty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you have then you have a bit here. This is probably Rook's Rest, where it's a dragon blasting fire, and we see Mysaria.
Or accent's less bad now.
Yeah. Then we see Blood and Cheese.
All
Finger.
right.
Coins being exchanged. Damon and Rhaenyra bumping uglies. A knife. Then we see Riots in King's Landing with the gold cloaks. More Rook's Rest. I think.
Gold cloaks. I wonder what side they're on.
I wonder
Yeah, because they were pro Daemon. I think it's stated in the books that they were pro Daemon. That may even be why Rhaenyra was able to conquer King's Landing so easily. It's been a while since I read Fire and Blood, to be honest.
Indeed. Then we see Melees and Rhaenys. We see Aemond on Vhagar. And then we see Rhaenyra and Vermithor. Which I actually think I found where George got the name. There's actually a dragon in Dragon Slayer named Vermithrax Pejorative. So I think that George might have took inspiration from that name when naming a Vermithor.
Seems likely.
Yeah.
Of course, the verm part means.
Sorry, go for it.
Sorry. Thank you. The verm part means worm, of course.
Interesting. Yeah, I just decided to take the name Vermithrax and give it to a bronze dragon. I just thought that would be cool.
Yeah.
That's a dope name. And the nice thing is it's from a movie from like the 80s, which it's kind of weird to think that movie is 40 years old. It's
that movie is older than you are.
Yep, by a significant amount.
Yeah, I don't remember it though.
I have no memory of it.
Something like that. So now we're getting the Hungarian symbol surrounded by fire. A cool image, although Max is kind of a stupid name.
Yeah, Warner Max. Yeah, it's dumb. They just call it Max.
Sounds like a dog.
It sounds like a dog.
So anyway,
I think that I can't think of anything else really, since most of this is just kind of a nice, simple, straightforward they're going to pretty much continue with the same level of quality that they did with season 1, which was pretty good. It was definitely better than most of the other shows that were coming out during that period. And I definitely think it was not an accident that Rings of Power, when Rings of Power dropped their trailer, that House of the Dragon dropped their trailer on the same day.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that the executives are studying and are studying like the competition and studying the figures of how many people are watching them versus other shows. I dare say, I'm sure they're aware of these things.
I would definitely agree. Even though it kind of, to a certain extent, it kind of seems as though House of the Dragon is bullying Rings of Power.
Kind of mean. It's kind of mean.
Which I just think is freaking hilarious because it's
poor little Rings of Power. They weren't bothering you.
Well, they bother me, and I think it's just honestly like it's HBO saying, "Oh, our competition is this." It's basically like picking on a mentally disabled kid.
We don't have any competition. Pretty much, probably. So that's that.
Yeah. Any other thoughts that you had? I'm good. I don't have any other thoughts or impressions about this. But this
I'm
is
sure.
pretty straightforward.
I'm sure
The
things
nice
will come up.
Yeah, I think the nice thing is with Rings of Power, I have no idea what they're doing. With House of the Dragon, I at least have an idea of what they are going to be doing.
Yeah, I mean, some of it is that there's book material that's based on. I mean, but beyond a couple of paragraphs in the appendices, there's actual fairly lengthy and concerted narrative that's based on.
Whereas with the Rings of Power, they are kind of blatantly abandoning most of the material.
They basically have to make up most of the material.
I was just saying they're abandoning the material because turning Numenor from an existential thought about a treatise about the nature of how man wants to be immortal gets changed to one guy yelling about a single elf being on Numenor that will take his job.
Yeah, there was. It's pretty stupid. Yeah, that was pretty stupid. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just. You can't not be aware that that's a meme. It's a freaking meme. This is a stupid meme.
Yeah.
Everybody's aware of.
Yeah, not a very good analogy either. I mean, like you said, a single elf on Numenor isn't going to be taking away their jobs.
Agreed. That's why. It's just like, do you not understand how economics empties?
I mean, that's not what. That's not. I mean, if I were trying to scare people against elves, I would go on about how they're. Well, actually, I might do something like the original one and have it to do with immortality. How the elves are immortal, and if we're going to do it in a more modern vein, I'd have it be like they're trying to take over, kind of thing. That kind of narrative.
Yeah.
Secret cabal kind of thing.
Yeah, for me, I just think that just turning Numenor into Rome would kind of be a good idea. Just like it is in the book, where they fall because of their pride. And the fact that they are the greatest civilization on the face of the planet, which they kind of aren't in the show. It's kind of pathetic what they are in the show. Whereas
the canals are pretty.
Yeah, the canals are nice, I guess. But it's just kind of weird what they decided to do with this whole thing. Where it's just, they took your gerbs. They took your gerbs. This is just like, don't make South Park memes. Don't put South Park memes unironically in your TV show. That's a dumb idea. Terrible idea. It's just so funny.
Yeah. Whereas in the show, the House of the Dragon, it's basically the same conflict as in the books. It's basically the same. Pretty much the same conflict, kind of women rule kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's basically the same conflict. They didn't have to. They didn't. I mean, they added a little bit of a twist with the prophecy, but it's basically the same conflict.
Yeah, there are very few. Yeah, the differences are kind of minuscule in a lot of ways.
Yeah. And they're mostly flushing things out.
Yeah, since the whole idea of the show is that, or of the book is that there is very little material to really go off of. So they're having to really stretch things out.
Yeah.
And with Rings of Power, there's just nothing. And even the little they have, they're kind of discarding.
Yeah, I mean, there's maybe a couple of sentences left.
Yeah. And just the massive compressing of the timeline of several thousand years into what seems to be maybe like 3 years.
I have no idea.
So that's just kind of what it is, where they decided to like compress the Second Age, like with Numenor and the Forging of the Rings, all into like a really short period of time. And it's just like, it doesn't work. Like, nations do not fall in this time frame. Are you nuts? You are setting yourself an impossibly high bar. Well, an impossible task.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this is good. I think we did a good job. I'm just Rings of Power probably going to be bad. That's the Dragon. Probably going to be pretty good.
Yep. Pretty much.
All right. Well, we'll call it good for today. See you guys later.
Have a riot.
The fact is, Starscream, despite your treachery, I've allowed you to carry on this long because I took a certain delight in following your string of failures. But you finally become tiresome, predictable. You've hit rock bottom.